Hey there, Internet. Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear. CRKT CEO in the house. Something like this, not something I've been interested in really until I watched more knife videos and got the idea of this knife channel and thought, good chance to order something like CRKT CEO. Because really, I would never, ever order something like this because I know I'll never use it. But for the price of it, I think you get one of these for around like 40-50 bucks US, maybe I think 60 bucks Canadian, maybe even a little bit cheaper than that. So not terribly expensive. A budget knife, fairly well built by Columbia River Knife and Tool Company. So, but definitely not built in America. American company, not built in America. Okay, so this is a 8CR13 MOV flipper. The handle scales, I want to say, well, they might just be textured G10 or FRN or something. Yeah, just Google it. So it is GRN. So glass reinforced nylon, same thing as FRN, but it's just a step down from G10. So not quite as expensive, but not cheap. An affordable budget knife with decent quality material. So flipper, and supposed to be a pretty good flipper on ball bearings, I do believe. Ooh, I didn't give it too much juice there. I wanted to try and give it the benefit of the doubt. But, oh yeah, okay. So, for the size of this thing, it actually fits the hand pretty nice. If you're just looking to slip something in your pocket that's not going to draw any attention, if you put that into what it's designed for is to slip into a suit shirt pocket or something like that and essentially disappear as a pen, which nobody'd really notice anything other than that. It would look like a pen to just about anyone who's not a knife person. It could be a flashlight, could be a lot of other things. What you don't expect is for someone to haul out an almost 8-inch freaking knife. Tiny blade, not that you couldn't do a whole lot with it for whatever you're cutting, slicing, penetrating. So while I could see myself leaving this just like kind of sitting by my office desk just as like a letter opener, because it actually has a really nice blade and shape for those kind of tasks. Very slicey, very thin. Maybe not pretty thin behind the edge. I'm assuming it's going to be, yeah, pretty popping of the hair sharp. And, well, here's the big issue with a lot of these knives for me. When they don't offer anything other than the old liner lock, which liner lock's not a big deal, except I'm left-handed. So for a typical liner lock, I'm going to have quite a bit of difficulty reaching the inside there. However, usually there's a cutout on this side of some sort, and you get a little more room to get your thumb into that liner lock. With this, it's completely flush to add to that kind of sleek look, which once a knife starts putting aesthetics over function, I kind of start losing interest. That's kind of most things with me, actually. It's not great for me to be able to use that. For a right-handed person, a little bit easier to slip that thumb in there because your hand position just kind of allows it to work with the direction of your thumb pushing forward. With this, I kind of have to work my thumb backwards or turn it right around in my hand, which kind of defeats the purpose of trying to close it with one hand. So a little bit riskier as you go to close it because you can snap, and I have nicked my thumb with that with the CRKT M16, actually, funny enough. Be good to me, CRKT. Yeah, fun little tiny knife that is definitely going to get some random use, definitely not in any kind of a serious environment. At some point, I can see for the price of this knife, maybe putting it through a little bit of test, but I think we all know when you buy a $60 knife that's branded to be an office knife or a dress-up knife, and it's built like this, it's not going to last. It's not going to hold up. I think anybody could hard on gear test this knife and find out really quickly, like, ooh, this is not a hard use tool. This is a fancy dress up knife. That's what you're going to call it. That's what it's branded for. That's all I'm pretty much going to keep it as. Maybe the odd time I'm at a wedding or something, I throw this into my shirt pocket. Good to have 1 or 2 or 3 on you in case you ever, I don't know, global apocalypse happens in the middle of a funeral. Shit happens. Asteroid hits while you're on your way to a wedding reception. And guess who's going to be prepared and laughing at everyone else? The other thing I really don't like about this thing is the clip, which, if you haven't noticed already, there's no option for tip up, because this is not a tip up carry knife. This is designed to, well, it blends a lot better like this because you don't see the flipper tab near the pocket clip if you had it tip up. Well, that's fine, because I think this is designed to be in the pocket, pulled out, and then, going to work just fine, because it's not a tactical knife. This is not even really a primary pocket knife that most people would want to use. It's like an EDC knife, but you can switch this around to left or right. So I probably will switch the clip around and put it on the left-hand side if I ever do want to throw it in a pocket. But yeah, this is going to be a shirt knife, like a shirt pocket knife, as it's kind of designed to be, and a office knife that might just sit in like my pencil holder. Not really sure yet. I guess it'll serve for size comparisons for some knives. Maybe I won't keep it in the office. Who knows? The future is wide open. Eventually, if this pivot loosens up more, I'm going to have a lot of fun playing with this, and I'm probably going to cut myself because it's getting smoother already. And I believe it's on, ball bearing washer system, so about as smooth as it's going to get for this price range. Ooh, except not a lot of weight behind that light little blade. So, hey, cool. Just a bit of a weird, short little unboxing because this is a weird, short, odd little knife and not something I'm typically familiar with or ever going to buy. Oh, and I almost forgot about size comparisons. So there's the CRKT CEO next to, Spyderco's Paramilitary 2, and the Mannix 2. Pretty similar in length. Obviously, that's going to be way lighter and way smaller in the pocket. I can't see me ever wanting to use something like this compared to something like the Mannix 2 or Paramilitary 2 from Spyderco. Here's the Rat Model 1 and Little Model 2, which, look at that. The CEO is kind of right in the middle between the two of them, lengthwise at least. Still quite a bit smaller in hand. Why don't we take a look at it next to a few of my favorites. The old Cold Steel Recon 1 in Aus 8, and the newly acquired Cold Steel 8015, the Andrew Demko custom production version from Cold Steel. Yeah, let's throw the Luzon in there too because it wants some screen time. There, it's actually pretty similar in a lot of ways to the CEO. And I actually believe in my Luzon review, I might have actually compared the CEO and I think the Boker Quaken to sort of the same sort of shape and style as the Cold Steel medium Luzon. But the Luzon's a freaking beast. Even the smaller version, the larger one, I believe something closer to about that. But much smaller. I think the Boker Quaken's something closer to this size. Maybe even a little bit smaller yet than the CEO. But yeah, more of that stiletto style blade, kind of trying to mimic, in the Cold Steel medium Luzon's case at least, the butterfly knife style. Filipino kind of a blade that we're not really allowed to have in Canada or a lot of other countries where automatic knives or butterfly knives are not allowed. While a lot of this stuff is still quite fun to play and fidget around with, there is some extra enjoyable pleasure from a good flipper. And eventually I'll get like a little trainer balisong so I can mess around with that and have some fun just for the sake of picking up a new random skill that I probably don't need, but I like doing that hand-eye coordination stuff. Yeah, you want a reference of where this knife fits in my collection compared to everything else? Yeah, it's, I mean, the Rat 2 is something I never, ever, ever use. I've been waiting to do a review on it forever. It's one of the first knives I bought after I got the channel, just because it's a classic model I've never, ever had a chance to use. It's too small. It's too small. And I actually think I'd rather use the CEO. Yeah, I definitely would as far as grip goes. And actually, I got my dad one of these for Father's Day? Yeah, Father's Day. And he actually used it quite a bit, and he's been using it, and he quite a bit enjoys it from what I gather. For me, it's just not enough knife. This has got a bit more handle, but these two are probably the least two used knives in my collection. Actually, I picked up the Cold Steel Kiridashi just to use for like a little bit of whittling and stuff. Just it's got this weird, the Kiridashi utility Japanese blade, that style of utility blade. It's kind of like a Japanese X-Acto knife. But I figured it'd be good for carving, whittling, that kind of stuff. But I just, it's a bit too small for me still. I haven't given it a fair chance yet, but we'll see. It might be a little bit better than the Rat 2, but small knives aren't my thing. I think it goes without saying, but when it comes down to it, it's just the not being able to get a grip on the knife just kind of doesn't make me feel comfortable using it. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Give the video a like if you wouldn't mind and you want to help spread this video to other knife people. And appreciate your viewership. Hard on Gear channel, signing off.